Yo, what's going on in DCA fam? How are you all doing today? It is another lovely day. It's excellent episode is with my buddy Brian, Nemisist. How
Yo,
you doing,
what's
big
going
guy?
on? Pretty good, pretty good. Another day in the mine, another day in the mine.
Another day in the mine. All right, all right. So as you all know, you guys are watching this. It is currently, for us, it is Wednesday. You guys will watch this tomorrow, which will be today, which is gonna be Thursday. It's always fun doing premieres. This is awesome.
Right.
But man, as you guys know, it's interview day. It is, meeting the team, building the adventure. And we're gonna We're gonna talk with our buddy Nemisist and get to know him a little bit more. All right. So,
Yo.
Brian, how you been, my man?
Oh, long day at work. During the daytime, my day job, I do anything from delivering parts to basically working on cars. My favorite thing to do is to work on old classic cars. Stuff that was made before 1979.
Before
When cars
computers,
were really cars.
when cars were cars and not computers with wheels.
Right, exactly. I mean, the new tech's got its place. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy working on all the new technology because a lot of people don't realize that some of the stuff that's in the cars is the same stuff that you use for mining.
Well, until we actually have the capabilities to actually drive in a real bumblebee that will transform, or the go-go gadget, whatever the hell, which is just like,
And I don't want to
1980s
see the guy in the first
American version of
Bumblebee
a Gundam.
prototype. I don't want to see the first prototype transform with a person in there. I think it's gonna be bad. Call that the meat grinder.
The freaking Gundam car. That's all the go-go gadget car what really was it was like a American version of a freaking Gundam car. That's all it was. But yeah, until we actually get to that technology, I really don't like the idea of having a dadgum computer on wheels being my vehicle. I like the simplicity of a car being just a car. But I digress. We're here to talk about you and how you got into the crypto game. So, Brian, before we get to the crypto game, we need to know, who are you before crypto?
Basically, I was an engine builder and race car driver and just your average, master certified technician. So I have an extensive background for basically, if you really want to boil it down, it's mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and just tinkering on stuff. I mean, that's something that I've done since I was like really, really young. Something would break, or I just had the itch to, I wanted to pull it apart and see how it worked on the inside. What was inside of it? What was so special about this? And I was actually, when I first started taking a stuff apart, it would go apart, it'd come apart, and it would never go back together. Because like I didn't know how to put it back together. A 6-year-old taking something apart might not be the greatest thing in the world, but it's somewhere where you have to start. And that's something that's kind of stuck with me for the longest time. I've actually had a few of the people that my mother used to hang around with. They were musicians, so I played the drums also and the guitar. And whenever I sat down on my first drum set, I had to have been like 3 or 4 years old. And I remember the dude sitting there saying that, hey, let him be. Little man's got to start somewhere. So that's always been the model in my head, is you got to start somewhere. Even if you mess up, you got to start somewhere. It gives you the idea of what you did wrong. Even if you did something wrong right off the bat, it was a good segue to learning. And that's always been kind of my motivation. I'll pull something apart, figure out how to put it back together, and then I'd pull it apart and I'd make it better. put it back together.
So if they worked on it first, they have to pay you $200 an hour to fix it, according to your T-shirt.
Pretty much. Once I tinker with it and put it back together, it's less likely to break afterwards.
I absolutely love your T-shirt right there. It says, mechanic labor rates minimum $70 an hour. If you wash, $100 an hour. If you help, $150, and if you worked on it first, $200. That is awesome. That is awesome. I want to focus in on something that I know people are definitely going to focus in on, especially the younger crowd. You said race car driver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you talk a bit more about that? How'd you get into that?
My mom whenever my mother got remarried, his brother was into drag racing. So he had a 1974 Chevy Nova. And whenever I was really young, I helped him. I remember him driving that vehicle from the garage he had it stored in, which the car was like hadn't driven in quite some time. This was like one of the first cars that my uncle ever bought. And I remember bringing it over to where we dropped in his drag racing motor. So it was like just kind of from there, being 6-7 years old, handing a 1/2-inch socket, 1/2-inch wrench, 9/16. I mean, if you work on an old car, a 1/2 inch and a 9/16 will almost take apart the whole car. But that was old school stuff. And then from there, it was just that I once I got to about 12 years old, my uncle let me drive the car once. We were on a track, so it wasn't like I was on the road or anything, endangering anybody but myself. And
you gotta learn to drive before you're supposed to.
Right. It's like a rite of passage almost. And here it is, I the owner of the track, he's like, keep it above 10 seconds. And my uncle's like, it's probably the only time you're going to run it. Give it hell. So I did a nice big burnout. This was at Union Grove, Wisconsin. And 80 or 92, 93, somewhere right around there.
And since then they changed the rules and no kids under 15 can drive.
Pretty much. You have to have a special license in order to drive now. But here it is, it's like I'm sitting at the light, and I was expecting to do a run by myself, and this dude, the Corvette, pulls up right next to me. Lines up with me. You see the owner of the track going, no, it's a kid. It's a kid. Don't do it. Dude just like leaned over, looked at me, gave me the thumbs up. I gave him the thumbs up, and he's just like, waves him away. He's like, we're going to race.
How'd you do?
Broadway Bob should have known that was a bad idea. Because I dropped it. I dropped the clutch on this thing, and probably through the first 3 gears, I was staring at the sky on 2 wheels going across the line. And when it settled down, I looked over. I didn't see the Corvette the whole time. And this is like right when he put the second kit of nitrous on there. And the first kit was automatic off the gas pedal. And the second one, you actually had to press the button. My uncle's like, don't press the button. I got about 3/4 of the way down the track. I looked over and I was starting to see the bumper of the Corvette. I'm like, he's gonna pass me right here. I'm like, nah, not gonna happen. Hit the button. Hit the button. Thing just starts getting light all over the track. I thought I was gonna eat it right there. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna die. We're doing 165 miles an hour. Oh my God. I'm 12 years old. And from there, I was just absolutely hooked. Every car I got, I would sit there and just start modifying it, racing it on the street. Anybody who thought they had a fast car, I'd take them for $100.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's like my first race car was a a 79 Camaro Z28. Had a 350 in there that I bored and stroked it to a 385. And then I put an 871 blower and cut the hood open to make it fit. I don't think it was street legal, but I still drove it. It's my only car.
That is awesome.
Yep. And then later, like right before I got with my wife, I had a 99 limited edition Toyota Supra that I set up for drift racing. So I taught myself how to drift race. I've taught myself over the years how to drag race. So when it comes to like building stuff, infrastructure on a car, a lot of the same stuff can be transposed even into like computers and stuff like that, because you got wire management, you have devices that are talking to each other. As you said, these computerized cars, computers on wheels. Well, that's pretty much what these new modern dragsters really are. It's a bunch of computers, and you're just trying to keep this thing in a straight line the best you can. while the programmer, usually it was me, was pushing the motor to the limit. This way, you're getting every last little bit of lick of power out of it, until you're hoping and praying that the car makes to the end of the track without spitting a spark plug or a piston out the exhaust.
That makes me think of an analogy. It's like, now that you say it that way, I'm thinking ASIC mining is like drag racing. GPU mining is like drift racing.
almost.
Well, an ASIC miner is good at doing one thing really great in a straight line.
Well, you can think of it this way too. I mean, even though a GPU is reprogrammable,
yeah, so you're always
all that stuff,
turning, which coin you're going to mine.
But you can also look at it as the minor leagues versus the pro league.
Oh.
And it really kind of boils down to it. You can see it in the hash rate. I mean, when you're drag racing, you're going to start off with your daily driver, and you're going to start modifying it. That's the entry level car, and that's basically at that point that's like mining Monero on your CPU.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, well, I got to go a little faster, but now I need a cage in there. Now you got a GPU. And then you're like, well, now I want to play with nitromethane, and I want to make a 10,000 horsepower dragster. That's an ASIC.
10,000.
Yeah, that's what those ones where you watch them at night and they've got 4-foot flames coming out of the exhaust pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nitromethane.
Are they pushing 1,000 horsepower or 10,000?
10,000.
What?
Yeah.
All the magazines are like, 1,000 horsepower.
Oh no, that's a street car. 1,000 horsepower. I'll drive that on the road. Your Dodge Demon Hell Scat Pack is like 990 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're basically talking. We'll call it 1,000 horsepower. So 1,000 horsepower is very much streetable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the elephant.
Like if you look at Street Outlaws, those guys are between 2,000 and 3,000 horsepower. And then you have the funny cars where the whole body of the car can lift off the chassis, and then those ones that are just skinny little rails with the 2 little itty bitty tires up front. Yeah, those are a lot of times. Those are like 10,000 horsepower motors. Oh, yeah. They put out some serious power.
Man.
And the ones that are like rail cars, how they got the zoomy headers facing up in the air.
Yeah.
If one of the cylinders shuts down, it's really awesome science. It's something that I nerd out on, is the mechanical science behind it. Is that if one cylinder shuts down, it's got 8 cylinders that are blowing air out, pushing down on the pipes, basically. One cylinder goes out, now you have an imbalance of weight distribution on the back half of the vehicle. And if one cylinder shuts down, they can actually crash because it starts to turn the whole vehicle on
Mm,
them.
that's
There's a lot
insane.
of science behind dragster,
That's
and it's
crazy.
something that I transpose into mining. Is the extreme overclocking. So I'm pushing the programs to the point where my computer will either blue screen or black screen and reboot. So I mean, I'm pushing it for the absolute highest hash power.
Mm-hmm.
You
Instead of
know,
horsepower.
right? So I'm trying to get maximum hash power while utilizing the least amount of energy. And that's the same thing with like drag racing. You're trying to make the most amount of power while having the least amount of resistance to do so. So I mean, like with resistance, you're meaning aerodynamics, where on a computer you're just trying to pull back power. And it seems counterintuitive that, oh, you want to make big hash numbers, you need to give it all the power in the world. But that's not really true. Most of these cards, the thermals behind it, once you hit so much heat with the amount of wattage, because every watt of energy is a calculation of heat. So you've got to limit the amount of heat that you are generating. Otherwise, you've got to figure out new cooling solutions. And if you're mining, guys, AC is not a solution.
Hey, let's see that hat.
Yo,
Crypto and hot rods. Starting to make a little bit more sense now, peeps.
Yeah, it's combining two of my biggest passions, which is my passion for cars, and then my passion for crypto. Which that adventure has really been a newer adventure for me.
Let's talk about how that actually happened. How did when did you first hear about crypto and how did you get into it?
Okay, so I heard about I heard about Bitcoin back in 2011. It was like right before summertime. So I mean, Bitcoin hadn't been out for hardly anything. I hear about it from an 18-year-old, my wife's youngest kid. He's the one that's telling me about it. He's like, yeah, you can go ahead and fill out a survey and get a whole free Bitcoin. And I was like, what do you do with it? Well, you just hold on to it. Why? I don't know. It might be worth something. I don't know. I'm like, how is it benefiting me? I don't know. So I just kind of like left it at that because like he never directed me to the Bitcoin white paper to have me read that.
Mm-hmm.
It probably would have melted my brain at that point in time instead of 2 years ago. But so it's like I've been hearing about Bitcoin here and there. Oh, it's something that you use on the Silk Road, which is the dark web. Some people might say the black market, but I'll call it the dark web, or the web that the governments do not want you to see, which is the open internet. Not that there's anything illegal about it. There are legitimate companies on the open web that just don't have the licensing to be doing what they're doing on the websites.
Mm-hmm.
But they are making a legitimate product that they are making.
Yeah, like let's look at a typical example. Nowadays, the banks and the credit card, debit card companies, they want to have the moral high ground, which we know that they have no morals to begin with, but
Yeah.
they'll have the moral high ground when it comes to 1, porn, 2, drugs. So if you're
Right.
if your enterprise is in either of those industries, like marijuana just became legal in most of the U.S., but they will still ban and throttle or like completely wipe out your bank accounts or say, oh, we don't support your transactions anymore because you deal with marijuana, even though you run a legitimate and legal business.
Right. Or you even get ones where they're making products.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much anything that, if they were in a, like J.C. Penney would sell these products type of thing. And it's just that they're doing it unlicensed. So most governments look at them as illegal and should be victimized for it. and it's just the mom and pop people that are just making something out of their house
Like
and selling
the
it.
government didn't give you permission to own a business.
Right, and they're not paying taxes, so it's banned. They're going to try to ban them. And that's stuff that's also a part of the deep dark web. Maybe grandma is selling her knitted blankets, but unlicensed now. It's like, and I understood that Bitcoin was something that would help facilitate transactions to a legitimate business that was even in the dark web. Again, I didn't really get into it because of the fact that I never actually stumbled upon the white paper for Bitcoin and actually read the 5 minutes worth to make my mind just melt. It wasn't until like about two and a half years ago, right at the end of the bull run for 2017, my wife turns to me. She's like, "Hon, I've been hearing a lot about this Bitcoin. You should check it out. Go on to bitcoin.org." So she basically showed me this well. It was like, "Yo, Bitcoin's down there." And I kind of looked over and she pushed me.
Hey, I found a rabbit hole.
I'm like,
Bye-bye, Alice.
Right. And as I'm falling down into it, I reach out, grab something, and it was a GPU. So, I mean, it was like I had started doing my research on Bitcoin, trying to understand the technology behind it, what it was actually here to solve. Started looking at all the other alternative coins and all the little nuances that they were solving. A lot of them were just repeat, faster, scalable, blah, 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 all the same. Very few of them actually propose to do stuff differently. So as I'm sitting there doing my research, I watched Bitcoin start at 20 grand and just free fall. I watched it kind of bounce around 10 grand and I put like $10 in and watched it bottom out more. I'm like, hey, look, I put $10 in and lost money. I'm like, oh, great. What did I do? And so it's like I started, as I'm doing more research on it, I came across Peter from Decentralized TV. And
Did you catch him when he was still doing bite-sized Bitcoin?
Yes, I certainly did. Bite-sized Bitcoin is where I had watched him and Chris put together the mining rigs.
The other Chris, not me, folks. There was another Chris in the community.
Yes. And watched the two of them putting together a mining rig, and Peter just kind of said something that kind of resonated with me because, I work my butt, my fingers to the bone. It's like I love working on cars. I love what I do. I love helping people. But he's like, you can sit there and build one of these computers and legally print money. I was like, well, you have my full attention. Printing money for legal? How does this work? So
I'm just pushing that smash button right now. That is awesome. Printing money!
So I started doing research on that, and I'm like, I had some money, some capital sitting off to the side and not doing anything. Kind of trying to find something to do with the money that I had sitting there. And I started doing the research on it. And I'm like, oh, you just need a graphics card and a computer. So I put together a parts list, and I was like, okay, for testing purposes, I'm going to build an 8 GPU rig that turned into a 12 GPU rig that turned into a 22 GPU rig. That was testing purposes. So I let that run for a little while.
Need more data. This is kind of need more data.
Need more data. Yeah. We need 2 more cards for data for testing purposes. We need 2 more, 6 more. Yes. So started getting it ramping up, scaling up, and I'm like, okay. I was mining Bitcoin private at the time on the Bitcoin Pubs pool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where me and Mikkel kind of started chit-chatting a little bit here and there. He watched my rig come on, and then he watched my rig go to the number 2 guy on the pool. I have a competitive, like I said, I like drag racing, and this was drag racing means you got to have the biggest, best number.
You were the competitive guy. He watched you go to second place. He's like, there's something.
Oh,
about this
I
guy.
was trying to get to first place, but the guy that was in first place had almost 200 GPUs. I'm like, oh god, I ran out of money. I'm like, I gotta mine a little bit to recoup. So it's like, and I like watched Bitcoin Private moon, and that got me some more equipment. That's why I don't have crypto. I buy more equipment.
You're too busy building.
Oh yeah, and people looked at me kind of weird, and I'm like, if you knew how much I've spent on equipment, you'd be like, oh my god, this is like a job.
It's like using a car, building it up to earn enough while racing to buy a new car or buy more parts.
Right, exactly. So I started letting that build up, and then Bitcoin privates dropped down to next to nothing. Before that, it was because ASICs were going onto the Ethash algorithm, which was also, if anybody's familiar with it, Zcash. That whole algorithm got dominated. I saw it happen. I moved my rigs off to some Ethereum Classic, and that's where whenever I was starting to mine that, I was like, I came across ASICs, and this is when the E3s were just coming out. I'm like, I'm gonna give me one of those because it's cheaper to get one of those than build out a whole nother mining rig.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up one of those, and then I picked up like 5 more.
I think you have an addiction.
Just a little bit. I'd like to see myself in the pool, at least in the top 20.
You got any more of those A6?
Right, exactly. So I mean, with my farm in full production, I was probably in the top 200 mining Ethereum Classic. I won't say that I was one of the top 10. Those guys had some serious hash power.
Those guys have warehouses and caves to mine in.
Pretty much, and a lot of those, whenever I got my hash rate where it was kind of noticeable, I was getting into some of the troll boxes, the chat boxes on the pools, and some of those bigger mining facilities would be there, and I'd be able to sit there and chit chat with them, figure out what gear they had. And they were, in Sichuan, China, right next door to Bitmain's factory, getting those ASICs fresh off the printing presses. So I couldn't compete with them because of the pricing that they were getting on it was a fraction of what I was getting it at.
And they were saving a ton on shipping. All they had to do was walk next door.
Pretty much, yeah. The one guy, he was sitting there telling me the pricings of him, because like he would buy them 5,000 at a time, and the price breakdown that he would get from Bitmain, and I was like, oh my god, I can't compete with that. You're talking, I'm sitting there spending 2,000 and he's spending 1,200. Mm-hmm. That makes a huge difference. And it's like, and then the other thing was you want to be the early adopters on those ASICs. Late adopters, you're gambling if you'll ever get your return on investment. And at the end of the day, that's what all mining really is. It's just another way to dollar cost average into the crypto market. So I have hardware that I've spent money on. So I've got proof of hardware. And then I've got an electric bill, which shows proof of work. That's the reason why I'm a proof of work miner. I don't really believe in master nodes. I don't really believe in staking. Pretty much all roads lead back to that busy Bitcoin.
I like it, man.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like with Ethereum wanting to go to their proof of staking.
That's one heck of a story. So,
But yeah, so I mean, it was like the wife, basically helped push me the rest of the way. Of I've already heard about Bitcoin. I just needed somebody to be like, yes, do it. And now it's like now that me and Mikkel have partnered up, and it's like I deal with all the hardware stuff, and he deals with all the software end of it. So he'll make the program, and I'll sit there and try to break it.
let's talk about you and Mikkel. All right, so we actually got started on decentralized TV together, but before that, you and Mikkel both had your own channels.
Correct.
Okay, let's hear your version of the story of how everything started and how you joined the DCTV team.
Well, so Mikkel and me, like I was saying, we've chit-chatted like off and on like a little bit through the Bitcoin private pool, and seeing each other's hash rates and stuff like that. So I mean, from that standpoint, we knew who each other were, and then with the DCTV.
But before DCTV, we
were all Patreons for them, and we ended up all of us ended up going to Atlanta, Georgia, for the Yen meetup.
Yes,
and that was the first time that I got to shake Mikkel's hand, and we got the chit chatting. And
we all got the chit chat.
Oh my god. that was the least amount of sleep I had in a long time, dude. Oh my god, staying up until like 4 a.m, going, I think the sun looks like it's coming up. We should probably go to bed.
Wake up in 2 hours.
Right, going, oh god,
do it all over again.
Right, wired. I don't want to miss a thing.
Yeah.
So right towards the end of the Yen meetup, I looked at Mikkel and I was like, hey, dude. I'd love to get you on my show, do an interview, and go from there. So he's like, yeah, for sure. And so we got to chit chatting a little bit more, and then finally, day came that we decided to push out the live stream, and we do this awesome live stream. Everything's going great for the whole live stream.
Was that the same live stream where I was a mod and sending links inside?
Yeah. And so I've got the chat rolling in on the screen, which I've seen a lot of YouTubers doing this too. So I mean, I know it's not an issue. And I've seen those same YouTubers have links posted in the chat, not an issue. So we get done with the hour-long live stream on my channel, Crypto and Hotrods, and the video is there. It is up finally. But right afterwards, me and Mikkel are sitting there chit-chatting, and I was like, dude, we should do this more often, man. Yeah, it's like kind of a great little cohesion that me and him had, being able to go back and forth. We weren't like, we had difference of opinions, but there was no, oh, you're an idiot, you know what you're talking about. It was very respectable, giving counter ideas to what you know about the topic. So I mean, I like the banter that me and him had. So as me and him are sitting there chit-chatting and conspiring, going, yeah, we should do another show and stuff like that, all of a sudden I start getting messages in, video's not there, guys. Where's the video at? Oh my god, the video is taken down. Why is there no video?
Because it was this guy over here was posting links in the live chat.
I don't think it was really
these guys
that.
Out.
I don't think it was really that. YouTube actually had given me the ban hammer, and I had repealed the ban, and was like, that what they had given me was, they were like, you were getting a violation due to trying to drive people away from YouTube onto other platforms. And at no point in time did you post anything like that.
Nope, I did not.
Did me and Mikkel never talked about anything like that.
Nope.
So it was like, I was like, what the heck is this? I do one live stream and I did something wrong that I'm not even aware of. So, I repealed it. And after 2 weeks, um, without any kind of, oh, we apologize, the algorithm got you, or whatnot, it was just all of a sudden I could stream again. And it was supposed to be a 3-month ban.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically got banned for 2 weeks before they basically put me under a YouTube review of what happened.
The YouTube watch list. We're watching.
Right. So they reviewed the video and then reinstated it without even saying anything. It took another community member going, hey, I was able to see your video. I'm like, nah.
After you lost the 2 weeks of momentum, it's like,
yeah,
that could have been growth right there. People watching the video.
Right, exactly. So, I was still pushing content out. I just couldn't live stream. I was just doing pure recorded videos like I was already doing. And I was basically starting up videos to fill in a void that I was having an issue with. Now, I'm not a software guy. I know how to take existing software and I know how to tweak it, but I don't know how to compile everything and get everything rolling. So I started seeing that some of the videos that I was watching was in either in Middle Eastern or in Russian. And here I am, I'm like looking, going, that's my motherboard. Okay, what did he do? I can't understand what he's doing, and I'm trying to mimic what he's doing. And finally, I started understanding what I was looking at. I was like, oh, nobody's going to get this. Oh, my God. So I started pushing out content for that. And then during that whole time of me getting banned, Peter pulls me off to the side and Mikkel off to the side. He's like, you two do pretty good work. And I know that you want to go live. Why don't you go live on DCTV? Me and Mikkel looked at each other. We're like, yo, we're in down. Yo.
It's like,
jackpot.
Yes, sir.
It was like jackpot. So we started, and the first thing that he gave us a thing, he's like, you two work together very well. He's like, watch Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert and see how they link together.
Mm-hmm.
And I started watching them and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's actually really knowledgeable. And
so hold on.
Bitcoin.
Between you and Mikkel, who's Max Kaiser and who's the other one?
I'll be Max Kaiser because he's the wild one. And Stacy Herbert was more of the thought out analytical person that, went to the charts, wrote everything down, just kind of organized the thoughts a little bit. So he became the organizer and I was the scattered one that I know what I'm talking about. I've done the research. You can pick a topic out and I will have a thought on it.
It's quite the dynamic. It is quite the dynamic that you two have. I will say that. And I think you compared the two of you, Max Kaiser and yourself, and then Stacy and Mikkel, quite well. Because she is like that, here's the charts, here's this, here's that. And Mikkel's the same way. Just like here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's like step A, step B, step C, and I'm like, well, do we really need B and C? Because D, I'm already there. I mean, it's like I have a lot of the same thought. I'm just not as organized as Mikkel is. So he brings a little bit of the organization to even myself. Gets me to slow down a little bit. It's like, oh, I didn't follow the plan.
It's like, hold on, your ADD is not matching with my OCD.
Right, exactly. And then that's like a perfect analogy for it because I am an early day person that got diagnosed ADD. So I'm a million miles an hour going, you're going to get swept up in my whirlwind. And that's kind of how I've been with mining. It's like, I'm like, oh, let's try this. Ooh, let's try this. Ooh, let's try this. Ooh. GPU, CPU, ASIC,
This like ooh shiny toy, ooh shiny toy, ooh shiny
FPGA.
toy,
Oh, Raspberry Pi.
squirrel.
Ooh. And that's kind of how I've always been with anything that I do. Is like I'll test it out until it's like not fun anymore, and then I move on.
I'm sorry. I just had a thought. You know, like if they ever did squirrel mining, it'd be proof of nut.
Swear jar, dude.
No, that's your dirty mind right there. I'm talking about like acorns and walnuts and pecans. You get the swear jar. I'm gonna do that one just for you. Oh man, dude, has it really almost been an hour? Oh wait, no.
Yeah.
No.
We started like 25 minutes after the hour.
Yeah, we started. Yeah, so we had to do some software stuff. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about what happened after, you know, you guys joined DCTV. You guys started getting some notoriety. You know, what was, you know, your guys' next, you know, growth step? You know, like what took you guys to the next level?
So with the whole yen and way that yen was supposed to get structured, um, me and Mikkel were trying to build stuff on the backside that would help out yen. So Yen was talking about having an in-house crypto. We were talking about trying to help make a mining program for it, make it actually GPU or CPU mineable. We were also talking about setting up the first Yokin pool where the whole community could sit there and mine to a central pool and get paid out in Bitcoin.
Now, how did that got level you guys up?
So basically, if we can sit there, most pools will have a percentage fee. So we were talking about having some of the lowest fees in there, trying to at some point try to make our own mining software that would also have the lowest fees possible. So through the fees, that would actually start giving us a little residual income. Not a whole lot, but as more people were supposed to onboard on the yen, you would have more miners, and that small little itty bitty, 0.5% fee here versus 1%, 2%. If you're mining a nice hash, you're talking almost 9% fees. So we were trying to sit there and solve some of these issues that we already see. And we were trying to move forward with that. We were trying to get interviews in with bigger mining facilities, seeing if we can potentially, get some work with some of these bigger mining facilities, even if it was they flew us out there for like a week. We set some stuff up with them, shot some awesome video, had some great content, talked about these guys very highly, and just kind of work it like that. And then at the very end, they done change directions abruptly.
Yeah, when I do know that when reality set in that the business model was not going to work, it was very heartbreaking for a lot of us. But we understand that when you're trying to save a business, you got to pivot as hard as possible to a better direction. So
yeah, my only complaint there in that whole thing is that they knew we were building in the background for this, and they could have like, hey, you might want to hold off a second. That's my biggest complaint. But beyond that,
So what I'm hearing though is that by having an idea for the community mining, you guys are now pivoting, taking that same idea and working on a project that's all your own, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
So,
And it's not even going to be. It's not going to be the central point of the business model. We're going to be. I mean, at the end of the day, like there's a lot of host mining facilities out there, a lot. So I mean, the market for that is highly saturated. Me and Mikkel have watched host mining facilities go belly up. We've watched big mining facilities go belly up. We've taken our notes of what they did wrong, what they did correctly, and how we can implement those models into our own project. So yes, we will have some host mining capabilities, but our main focus is we're miners. We're trying to grow our mining facility. And me and Mikkel realized that we can do it more effectively as a partnership on our end. And then if we have extra, since we'll probably have extra room in the building, we'll be able to bring in a small, section for helping out the community until basically the bigger portion of the mine becomes so large that we have to focus in on that, and then we might be readdressing how we're going to do it if we're going to continue doing host mining. But it's something that we definitely want to have there. I don't want to take it off the table completely, but we're trying to open up a huge mining facility, and if that's going to happen, it's some of that's going to be dictated by what the investors are going to want. Investors are going to make a big impact on some of the decisions that we make in the long run too, because of the fact that we, after talking with some of the bigger people in the industry, have come to realize that you almost there was like a phrase that was said to me like a few months back, the greedy miner. So basically what the greedy miner is that, it's like at the end of the day, he's trying to mine for himself. And at the end of the day, mining for myself means that I'm putting food on my table if I'm doing this full time. So I've got to work, me and Mikkel both got to work on getting ourselves to that point where the mining facility is putting food on our table. And that's basically the next iteration of the way that we're going to be pivoting, is trying to grow this, our empire, basically, at the end of the day.
I like it. That's, and I see how, each step has led and to the next pivot or to the next, level, or, to the next pivot after that, and, dude, I'm excited for you guys. You already know that I'm right there with you, because I know, and there's no way in hell I'm mining out here in California.
No.
Not happening.
Right.
So let's talk about the inspiration for starting DCA Adventure. We were all part of a team, and then once the Jens made your pivot, it was time for us to pivot. Right,
and we had our discussion with John Saddington, and
by the way, we still love you, John. Watch your videos every day.
He basically said that we were not that good at YouTube. I'm like, this guy, really? Did he just say that to us?
All right.
So,
but no, what I want us to focus on though is, what made us decide to continue doing YouTube.
That's what kind of led this up. So after he said that, I was like, I had that like little motivational bug. I'm like, we are bad. Let's just try to get the team back together. It's like bands got to come back together. Got to get the band together.
We need a new drummer, new bassist.
Right. We need the band again. We've got to get them all back together. So, it's like I talked to Mikkel, and I was like, dude, you want to continue doing something? I mean, we can do it on my channel, or we can do a new channel. And Mikkel's like, I don't know. And then I got a hold of you, and I'm like, do you still want to do something? And you're like, heck yeah.
I'm like, yes, I don't want this to stop.
Right? He's like, I'm having fun. So we started like, brainstorming ideas down. You were at work trying to help brainstorm some ideas. And as Mikkel would say, poo-pooing on our ideas.
Well, hold on. To be completely fair and transparent, when it became the three of us coming up with this idea to let's build this new channel, it's like, and I had jumped in and like, hey, what do you guys think about doing this? And Mikkel's like, it's already settled. We got the email. We got this. We're doing the Crypto Collective show or whatever it was. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, the
hold
Crypto
on.
Collectives.
Or whatever, And I'm like, hold on. Let's talk about branding here.
Yeah, which me and Mikkel, we just build. You give us an idea, and we just run with it. Go with it,
And
ask for forgiveness later.
And
so it's like you kind of like, oh, that's not very brandable. Oh, this isn't very brandable.
there's more to it than just me poo-pooing on everything.
I mean, you gave in some pretty good ideas. Things to look at for like anagrams, analogies, and stuff like that. And then you ended up going on the lunch or getting off lunch break, and me and Mikkel were still kind of doing wordplay with each other. And I don't know, it's like about an hour had gone by after you'd gone to off of lunch, and I was like, I just kind of like looked around, and I'm like, man, we should just call it DCA Adventures. And he just kind of like stopped. I'm like, it's what we do, right? I mean, we dollar cost average into everything. We should just have a show that was about the adventure of what we're doing and just document it. And he goes on, he's like, .com for DCA Adventure.com is not taken. .show is not taken. And .io is not taken. So we're going to put this on the maybe list.
Yeah, I remember having, jumped in, for a quick second and heard about your guys' idea for DCA Adventures. And I'm like, and I'd done the GoDaddy research. I'm like, Adventures isn't as brandable as Adventure, but, here's the .com availability list. So I definitely remember... dude, you're gonna get me in so much trouble. just to be completely transparent, I usually am only on during my breaks. Let's just be honest here. Breaks, and if I'm ever taking a 10-1000.
Too funny. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much how we got our little group together, and then it was just a matter of I went out to each person that was in the
the prospect group.
In the prospect group, yeah, thank you. The prospect group, I had gotten a hold of them and to see who would still want to do it, and then I also went to the people that were all in the DC TV group too, that were doing content. And Heavily Armed Clown had already left Colin, and he's doing his thing, which is awesome. And he's got his newborn, as cute as can be.
Newborn and the podcast.
Right. And then Andrew, Moonboy, he's dealing with his wife having some health issues. So
plus his work as well as his own venture.
Right. So I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on. I know once things get a little bit tame for him, that he will come back.
So glad to hear that. So glad.
Yes. I've been in contact with him the whole time.
I know you send Zoom links to Andrew. You send Zoom links to Kayla, to Crypto Mom. I know she's been working her butt off.
Oh my God, yeah. I told her once she got the gas, I'm like, we'll never see you again. You know that, right? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're an owner. That's a whole you have the manager hat, you got the owner hat, you have the banker hat, you got the payroll hat, you
have the hire and fire hats.
Right, dude. It's like she's like, oh no, I got this. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna run yourself ragged, dude. Oh my God. And that's exactly what she's done. And she's happy, which is awesome. You know, she's building things up for herself. I'm just going to be very sad-faced if she doesn't keep the blueberry stuff going. I need.
She said she would keep it going for just a small group of people.
I need more lemonade.
I know, right? Oh, I was so upset when TSA took my blueberry jams and jellies. I'm like, you ain't taking my lemonade.
Right, I'm gonna drink every bit. I don't care if I poop blue for the next week.
Oh man. And so now we have DCA Adventure.
Yep. And we are steadily growing everything on here, which is amazing. That we are resonating with so many different people. Super stoked. We should do like a meetup one of these days.
Dude, I would totally love a meetup.
Right.
That would be awesome.
DCA meetup.
DCA Adventure meetup. That would be amazing.
Right.
You know, just have the whole team and anybody that wants to join us can come hang out. Right.
I mean, it says that there's 190 subscribers, so you figure at least 200 people are watching.
200 people are watching, maybe 100 people show up.
Right.
It works. Who cares? It's going to be a great time.
Yeah. We'll have to work on that one of these days.
That would... Okay. The Atlanta meetup when Hafid was driving in the wrong direction, the one way, to help us get Sundrop. Or help me get Sundrop.
Too funny.
Oh, man, those stories.
And I had Peter and John both in my Chevelle.
Tell us about the Chevelle.
So yeah, that bad. The Green Machine took that across the country to Atlanta, Georgia. A '74 Chevelle. Me, the wife, and no radio. It was
no
still
radio?
Fun. No radio. It was just us sitting there chit-chatting the whole time.
Okay. I was about to say, what about Bluetooth with your phone and the speakers? Are like, oh, wait, no, you need a radio to connect that.
Yeah. And it has to, I mean, when you're going down the road and you got no AC and you got the windows rolled down, you're on the highway, and it's a '74 Chevelle, 400 cubic inches of a small block with dual exhaust that's 3.5 inches. Yeah, all you heard was the wind and rah! As the engine was going down the road. So yeah, I had like a little itty bitty boombox, but even with the thing cranked, you couldn't hear it.
There was no noise cancellation in that vehicle.
No. Not even a lick of Dynomat to silence anything. Oh my God. So we sat there and we chatted the whole time. It was a blast going across the country. I thought that I was going to have an issue going through the mountains, going into high altitude with a non-fuel injected car. Mm-hmm. And as I went up into the mountains, I was able to go faster.
Gee, I wonder why.
It's like, and then I'm sitting here ripping around all of Atlanta, Georgia, getting next to guys in their Ferraris and Lambos on the highway, and I'm just waffle stomping the gas pedal and keeping up with them.
And when you got to Caffeine and Octane, they loved your car so much They
Oh
actually
yeah. So I get in there and like they have things like sectioned off. You got the center section, which has got all the like the top cars that they hand pick out, and then around the center section at the mall, they had public parking and different car clubs and stuff like that. So I saw this lady that was standing like right by the inner circle area, and I wave her over, and she's like, and I look at her, and I was like, "Where do I park?" I'm like, "I am not from here. I've got Illinois plates on, so I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here." And she gets on the walkie-talkie real quick, and she walks up to me, and she's like, "Can you stay here until 11 o'clock?" I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I gotta leave to go back home, but yeah. I'm like, yeah, I can stay here until 11 o'clock. And she's like, she opens up the gate to the center section. She's like, park right there. She's like, can you back in? I'm like, sure. This car is filled with like dead bugs from across the country on it. So I back it in, and me and the wife are sitting there pulling out chamois and microfiber cloths, and we're cleaning the car. We're cleaning the car right there. I've got I had a bunch of bottles of waterless car wash, so that you can actually wash. You can wash your car inside of a building.
Mm-hmm.
So I sit there, waterless car wash this thing, get all the bugs off of it, tire shine it, make this thing look nice. I even had a little portable vacuum cleaner too.
Oh,
vacuumed out the inside of the car from the leaves and
tiny
stuff.
Little handheld dirt devil.
Yeah. Put that all into the trunk and stuff. And by the time I got done cleaning it, we had like 4 people videoing the car. There was not another Chevelle that was after 71 at the show. So it's like mine was the only 74 Chevelle there. Absolutely. I went and looked at every car that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was not another car like mine.
Yeah, you actually had the only 74 Chevelle.
Yeah. And what makes my car even more rare is that of the options. It's kind of funny. The car started life off in Florida, and it was California emissions, which was the only way to get a 4-barrel carburetor on there. It had the first edition on the catalytic converter, an air pump for the catalytic converter. So it had first generation emissions on it in for 74, which those options alone on that car means that less than 3% of all the Chevelles made in 74 had my options. They made more convertibles than my car.
Well, not only that, you had the freaking pilot seat that would turn.
Oh yeah, the swivel. Those weren't. They didn't come with the car originally.
Yeah, I figured.
Those came out of a Monte Carlo. So those were Monte Carlo. So the new modern day seats, if you guys get in any fancy cars, when you turn off the car, the seat kind of rolls back a little bit, and the back reclines, and it kind of gets you away from the steering wheel, so you can easily get out. That's what they called easy out. Well, back in the day, you had a little lever on the side of your seat, and you just turned the whole thing sideways. They outlawed those by the 80s because if you got into a major accident, you're sitting on a 2-inch pole that will break. Regardless if you have your seatbelt on or not.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You'd think that they'd be able to put it on a turret system. You know,
no,
not just
it's a single pole.
No, seriously, like a ring of ball bearings and a turret system, and
yeah, like a tank operation.
Yeah.
No. They went really low tech. It was a swivel seat. They took like a car seat and stuck it on top of a bar stool seat.
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah. So by the 80s, they got outlawed.
So,
Crash and Safety had a field day with that one.
so how does your car still have one?
um, you're still able to find them. You can find the framing for them and stuff, and you can find other people who have removed them out of their car because they ended up like, you know, you get a little rocking motion off of it because like stuff would start loosening up over time. And then people would want to put more stylish seats in there, and they don't care about the easy out. And then a lot of people just put them off to the side, you know, in their attic or whatever. Whenever, you know, Crash and Safety was like, oh my God, this is going to kill you. And I don't know, there was like a small little phase of people, certain people during the 80s, when you were still able to find these seats. Good luck trying to find these seats now. You probably will not find them.
Yeah, I'd never even heard of one of these car seats, and when I saw your seat, I thought you built it yourself. I'm like, Jesus, what the hell is this?
Right, yeah. If it was built by me, it would have had a turret system on it.
Dude, you totally should build a turret
No,
system.
if I'm gonna if I pull up them seats, I'm gonna put some like really nice rate. I'm gonna put like a seat almost like the one that I've got here into it.
Dude, just put your dadgum freaking computer chair on tracks. You're good.
Right, exactly. But no, it's like I wanna get some like really nice Recaro racing seats or something like that. They're expensive, but they're so nice.
All right, we've gone so far off the subject, just
Right,
zoning on cars.
Right, we're in my other passion, which is, you know, it's outside of crypto. But
Let's get back into the other passion. Let's get back into the reason why everybody's here. Let's get back into the crypto. All right, so.
Hey, if it wasn't for me DCAing into cars, I wouldn't have had capital to sell for mining equipment. I'm just saying they go hand in hand.
Well, not
at
only
least
that,
with this guy.
not only that, you've already mentioned the mechanical engineering and electrical engineering from building cars, and you're able to bring that directly into the field and build mining rigs and make sure that everything works.
Right, and if I have any kind of any issues with the physical hardware, I troubleshoot it the same way I troubleshoot cars. There's the diagnostic on this stuff for me is identical. And if I need to go pinpointing, I've got multimeters and I will sit there and pinpoint exactly where the failure is.
Explain more about how it's directly relatable.
So all cars are running DC, which is direct current. It's all running on 12 volts. Most computer components run 12 volt DC. Your power supply might say 1,000 watts on it at 110 volts, but when you plug in a particular cable, it might be only a 12 volt rail that's pushing 75 watts to maybe 200 watts. So you're not catching the full wattage that particular power supply will give out. So you've got powers, you've got grounds, you got the smaller components like resistors, capacitors, transformers. So all the same components that you're finding in a computer are all in a car. You get into a new a new Chevy Camaro SS, and that thing has got 27 computers to run everything in it. And majority of those computers aren't really computers, but they're actually FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays. So I can sit there and, oh, it's got an issue here. Let me go take this software and I'm going to now load it up into this computer and fix it. So I can sit there and just reorientate how each component on that car actually operates. And if I have a hardware failure, I'm looking at it. Okay, is it not communicating with the rest of the hardware? Do I have a data line corruption? Is this particular component not getting any power? Oh, this component should be controlling grounds, but it's just now off. Why? So I can go in there with a multimeter and start checking the line. Pull what they call continuity between the two wires. Can I stick my one probe on one side of the wire, stick it on the other probe of the wire, and are my two probes communicating through that line? If the answer is no, then that's my issue. So a lot of the same diagnostics I'm pulling right into here. You can even use some of the stuff that Ford has patented. Ford has patented the KISS formula, which is keep it simple, stupid. They actually had to patent it because people were overthinking stuff. It's not the sensor or the wire. It's the whole computer.
Hold on. Did they really patent KISS?
Yes, they patented KISS, the KISS formula. And they patented the wiggle test. The wiggle test is that you take a connector, you go 6 inches back, and you wiggle the wire. And does the component turn on and off when you do that? The wiggle test. It's testing for a broken wire.
Okay.
They had an issue where whenever they were just starting to implement the computers, and you had a lot of these guys that had dealt with carburetors their whole life, and they were first time seeing computers being introduced into the market. They were like, "Oh, it's the computer. The computer's the problem here. See, if it was just a carburetor on here, we'd have no problems. Carburetors were proven technology. These computers is why it's not starting today." So they went through a whole thing of guys replacing out big dollar components out of these vehicles when it was a wiring issue. Like when they, at the factory line, when they bolted in the seat pinched off the wire harness. And the wire harness is what's now messed up. It's actually not the component that it was plugged into. And here they were replacing $1,000 component for a $400 wire. So they had patented the KISS formula and the wiggle test. And it sounds stupid, but a lot of that same stuff. I mean, I'm not communicating. Let me wiggle this wire. Oh, it flickered on and off. I got a loose connection here.
Let me just lock that in place. We're good. It works.
Oh yeah, I had an ASIC die on me because the wire backed out of its control board. And the control board died because the wires got a little far away from the connectors, and everything had enough power to jump the gap, but it's not consistent. So it jumped the gap and it'd have high power and then nothing, and then jump the gap and it was dead. Computers like that stable, clean power.
There you go. So, is there anything else that you would love to share about your adventure or where your adventure is headed before we take off today?
No. I think all of you guys out there are just going to have to continue watching what me and Mikkel are going to be cooking up in the background. So definitely, guys, stay tuned to what we do on Saturday nights at Late Nights in the Mine.
Yo.
Be one of the RGB warriors with us.
There you go. Absolutely. So, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you are here for the first time, definitely subscribe, hit the like bell, hit the notification button, and milk cows.
No, that was a Scully, Robert Scully. That was a Robert Scully throwback, you know.
By the way, we gotta give the digital YouTube channel some love because they did, give us a couple shout outs on their episode.
Oh yeah.
So to everybody there, we love you guys, miss you, and think you guys are doing an awesome job. So definitely check their channel out. Go check out Digital Crypto. And in the meantime, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Join our Discord, description down below.
Join the Patreon and get some of that behind-the-scenes knowledge.
Oh, yes. You definitely would love the behind-the-scenes knowledge if you're not in there yet. Also,
right, there's stuff in there that nobody else gets to see.
Mm-hmm. And be sure to check out that cryptoandhotrods.com over there. Over there. And get that awesome hat of his,
Right.
Or head on over to dogelord.com. Got an awesome hats, backpack, shirt, sweatshirt, all that stuff. In the meantime, the code free shipping will get you free shipping.
Right. And it's actually hotrodmining.com.
There you go. Not cryptoandhotrods.com. Sorry.
Right. The crypto and hot rods is my YouTube. Yo.
In the meantime, everybody else, thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. And we will see you guys tomorrow.
Yo.
We'll see you guys tomorrow for the
Which
Friday night episode. Because this is going to be airing Thursday. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night on Friday. And definitely stick around for Saturday. And then I think the show after that will be Monday's Mining After Dark. No.
Right. We got Friday and then Saturday and then Mining Mondays on
Mondays.
podcast. Yep.
Mm-hmm. A podcast exclusive.
Yes.
Yes.
Where me and Mikkel talk about all them awesome mining goodies. Ooh.
Yo. You know what? We didn't have any swear jars today.
Nope. I know how to keep myself clean.
It's called soap. Yo.
Right. I'm not like Gundy that's trying to dollar cost average into it.
Gotcha.
He's dollar cost averaging just for the community, just for the memes and knobs.
Just for memes and knobs. In the meantime, you guys, thank you for being here again.
Yep.
Stay tuned. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.